Welcome to the Success Sensei podcast for anyone interested in success, happiness, and balance. We'll teach you how to be a black belt at life. And now, your host, former professional fighter, multiple world champion, entrepreneur, and investor, Robert Devane.
Bowing in. This is Robert Devane, the Success Sensei, helping you to win at life one kick and punch at a time. Episode 353. By age 40, you should be smart enough to realize this.
It's the Success Sensei podcast main event.
By age 40, you should be smart enough to realize this. I've read this a couple of times. There's many memes, there's many posts about this list. There's 15 points on this list. They're pretty good. That's why I thought I'd do an episode on it. I did try to look up who is the originator of this list, and I couldn't find a reliable answer. There was many different answers. So I got bored and I gave up, because ultimately it's the information on this list that's probably important to us all as opposed to who wrote it. But I would have liked to have credited whoever came up with it. But I have a feeling that it's been added to and changed by multiple sources. Either way, you might have seen this list, but I still think it's handy it being read out to you, whatever you're doing while you're doing, and you're listening to this episode or the podcast. You might be driving around, you might be jogging, you might be whatever. It's not always handy to read. Plus, I can give you my take on a few of them as well. So by age 40, you should be smart enough to realize this. So the quicker before the age of 40 you figure out all this, the better. And absolutely after 40, the quicker you get to these conclusions, the better. I'd be interested in hearing your opinion, by the way, of which ones you relate to, which ones are hard hitting for you, which ones you don't agree with, which ones you very strongly agree with, which ones you'd like to change, or what you think was left out and what you think should be added. I absolutely, as always, would love to hear your opinion. So let's get started with this list, right? So by age 40, you should be smart enough to realize this. Number one, someone makes 10 times more than you do in a 9-to-5 job because they have more leverage with their work. So somebody will be paid more. Somebody will be earn more, whether it's hourly, whether it's price per job, because they have more leverage. So whether they have educated themselves to a different level than you, whether they have skilled and leveled up to a different level than you, they obviously have transferable skills, which when you're comparing them to yourself, they're different. They've leveled up. So all you need to do is do the same, either level up or change jobs, change focus, and work in an industry that you can earn more money. So that was number one. Number two, distraction is the greatest killer of success. It stunts and destroys your brain. If you don't separate yourself from your distractions will separate you from your goals. Now, you might have just listened to that point about distractions and said, yeah, distractions, yeah. But have you really taken account of all the many areas that you are getting distracted in life, in your everyday life? I guarantee you they're numerous. The whole social media industry is and television and magazines and just entertainment in general is created based on distracting you as much as possible onto what they're doing, as opposed to you being a creator or creative, or, chasing your own dreams, your own desires, your own goals, and outputting into the world your own desires, dreams, plans, goals. So that's distraction. Number three, you shouldn't take advice from people who are not where you want to be in life. How many times do we even give a couple of minutes, give a bit of energy, give our ears to people who are giving us advice when they're just not qualified to do so, or they're not where you want to be in life, or they don't know what they're talking about? And the problem is when you don't realize that, when you do actually take action based off of, not great advice from not great sources. Number four, no one is coming to save you or your problems. Your life is 100% your responsibility. That's a really tough one. That's a tough one, because when things go bad for us, we always look around. We always hope that we're going to be saved. We always hope that someone or something is going to come along and rescue you. You've got to go into every project, every, situation with your eyes wide open. You have to be prepared to 100% back yourself. That way, if any help ever did come along, you weren't 100% relying on it. It's a bonus. You weren't expecting it. You are fully prepared to handle things yourself. That's all encompassing in every area of life. When it comes to self-defense, you have to be prepared to defend yourself as if nobody is ever going to come to your aid, because even in broad daylight, the statistics are very low that someone is going to come to help you. So therefore, if someone does come and helps you out, brilliant. You weren't expecting it. It's a bonus, but you are not holding yourself back from defending yourself. You're not potentially making, dangerous decisions, but by not fully defending yourself, because you're hoping that someone else is going to come and rescue you, which more than likely is not going to happen. And therefore your worst fears will play out. So no one has come to save you or your problems. Your life is 100% your responsibility. Right. Number 5, you don't need 100 self-help books. All you need is action and discipline. I slightly disagree with that one. I do think you need 100 self-help books and more, and you also need action and self-discipline. But I know what it's saying. Basically, you can read and imagine and dream about all these things. If you don't take action, then it's absolutely no use to you. So action and self-discipline are probably a little bit more important than just endlessly entertaining yourself with self-awareness and self-development material that you've no intention of actually following through with. So it makes sense, but why can't you do both? Of course you can. Number 6, unless you went to college to learn a specific skill, i.e. a doctor, an engineer, lawyer, you can make more money in the next 90 days just learning sales. Most people hate sales, but you know what? It's such a valuable skill. And as soon as you recognize that sales takes place between everyone, all the time, every day, in every area, it is selling or it's related to selling. The sooner you realize whether you're selling yourself or you're selling a product or you're selling, you've just come back from an amazing holiday and you're trying to recommend it, i.e. selling it to someone else that maybe they should book something similar or enjoy a similar experience, and that they would enjoy a similar experience. That's selling. You're selling them on your point of view. We're always selling. You need to be good at selling. Selling as a word, if that has a negative connotation to you, you think of sales and you think of a dodgy salesperson, then you need to reframe that. Sales is just, it's communication. So if you want to make more money, you've got to be a better communicator, and you've absolutely got to be better at sales. Number 7, no one cares about you, so stop being shy. Go out and create your chances. We live in a very narcissistic era. Everyone thinks the world revolves around them, and we think that people are paying more attention on us than they actually are. So at what stage and at what age are you going to stop telling yourself that you're shy, or using shyness as an excuse, or thinking that shyness is acceptable, and go ahead and live your life the way you want to live it and chase the goals and chase the dreams that you want to have? Number 8, if you find someone smarter than you, work with them, don't compete. Now the thing is, everybody is smarter than you in some subject matter, so you don't need to compete. If it's not time to compete, if it's not an actual competition, this is now a competition, then you're unnecessarily competing, especially if you can learn from somebody, and you can learn from the majority of people. The majority of people are better than you at something. Find that something and work with them, especially if it's an area that interests you. Competing just can turn them into an enemy and is useless if it's not an actual competition. I think when it's time to compete, be absolutely ruthless with your competing. But when it's not time to compete, don't compete. It's the worst option. Number 9, smoking has zero benefit in your life. This habit will only slow your thinking and lower your focus. And I don't know why they haven't included here, reduce your lifespan and waste lots of money. They're writing that smoking has zero benefit. You know this already. So hopefully you're not a smoker. And if you are, you need to... I was talking to someone today, actually, good buddy, who was saying that he'd tried something and it made him give up for a few months. I reckon do the same thing again and give up for another few months and keep doing it every few months to give up for the next few months, if that's what it takes to get you to quit long term. Even giving up for a few months is worth revisiting that again and staying off it for another few months. Number 10, comfort is the worst addiction and cheap ticket to depression. Yeah, definitely. We're designed to look for our comfort zone. We're designed to seek comfort. We're designed to make life easier, life more comfortable. And comfort is the death of your dreams. It's the death of your goals. Comfort is many a fighter has been criticized on the downward spiral of their career because what was it about satin sheets? It's hard to motivate yourself to fight when you're sleeping on satin sheets or something like that. In other words, when your life is too comfortable, there goes your ability to be able to fight, your ability to be able to strive. There goes your motivation to want to keep improving yourself and improving your situation. So beware of comfort and catch yourself when you're trying to seek it out, or catch yourself when you're giving into it. Number 11, don't tell people more than they need to know. Respect your own privacy. With social media, again, and with the world that we're living in, we're oversharing. We're being encouraged to be narcissistic. We're being encouraged to, overly talk about ourselves and our ambitions and what we want to do. You don't necessarily have to do that. You don't need to let people know everything. Yeah, absolutely respect your privacy. The less people know, the less they're able to scupper your plans or get in the way or maliciously try to prevent you or block you, or jealousy or resentment towards you. So absolutely, yeah. Number 11 is true. Right, number 12. Avoid alcohol at all costs. Nothing worse than losing your senses and acting a fool. That's a strange line. Nothing worse than losing your senses and acting a fool. But the first line, avoid alcohol at all costs. Alcohol is a dream killer. If you only ever come up with your plans when you have some drinks on you, then they're not real plans, and then your goals aren't real. How many people have turned off this episode as soon as I listed number 12, avoid alcohol at all costs? Because it probably seems like, out of all of these 15, it probably seems to most people to be the most unreasonable. But hopefully the older you get, the more you realise that, very similar to smoking, there's not that much benefit, bar maybe a little bit of socialising, if you're not binge drinking. The cons outweigh the pros, and I think more and more people are realising that, especially people who are, again, looking for longevity, looking to not waste money, looking to spend their time in as fruitful a way as possible. You'll reach the same conclusion eventually, hopefully not too late. Number 13, keep your standards high and don't settle for something because it's available. Yeah, straightforward. I don't have much to add to that one. Keep your standards high and don't settle for something because it's available. Yeah, I don't know what they're referring to on that, because sometimes you do have to start something, and then as you go along, try to improve upon it and make it better. And if you wait for the perfect scenario, you won't start it. So I'm a little bit confused. I don't know if they're talking about relationships or what there, right? Keep your standards high and don't settle for something because it's available. Okay. Number 14, the family you create is more important than the family you come from. Hard hitting one, that. Well, so the family that you are responsible for is more important than the family you come from. Yeah. You definitely have a lot more responsibility. Yeah. And you should do your very best. And we live in a different time. We live in a different era from previous generations. So, maybe it's unfair to compare. But that's all you can do is compare to your own situation. That is your frame of reference. So do your best going forward. Try to improve on your past. No matter if your past was brilliant or not, always try to improve it for your loved ones and the family that you create. Number 15, train yourself to take nothing personally to save yourself from 99.99% of mental problems. Taking things personally is a tough one, because yeah, when your ego gets in the way, that's what trips you up. And you don't have to react because your ego has been slighted. But at the same time, sometimes you do have to clearly set out boundaries, because if you choose the pacifist path of, saying nothing and not correcting somebody, or not standing your ground, or not marking your boundaries, the situation can get worse. They can get braver. At least sometimes setting out your boundary makes it clear to everybody and gives the person the opportunity to rectify what they've said or their behavior. But your position shouldn't come from, a wounded ego. It should come from, a fairly logical approach, which isn't easy. Absolutely, it's not easy. The majority of people listening to this list, and the majority of people that can understand a lot of these, are probably the other side of the coin. You probably are an emotional person. That's why some of these are resonating with you. So it can be very hard not to take things personally. You just have to, with a level head, every situation, take things as they come, basically. Every situation, analyse it in and of itself, and hopefully you'll be able to make the appropriate response at the appropriate time. Well, sure, that's an experience thing. Again, the older you get, that's why we started this by saying it's called by age 40, you should be smart enough to realise this. Sometimes it takes you to the age of 40 or beyond. It takes it that long to be able to understand yourself, be able to navigate the world better, be able to handle awkward people a little bit better. Some people are able to get it before the age of 40. Some people get it after the age of 40. Some people never get it at all. But I guarantee you, working on yourself it's a constant lifelong project, and you are absolutely worth it. Hopefully that's helped you. Hopefully it's given you something to think about. As I said, let me know your feedback. Thank you for listening. I'm Robert Devane, the Success Sensei. Life is a fight you can enjoy and win. Bowing out.
This has been the Success Sensei, fighting the winning fight. So add us, subscribe, like, and comment. Keep those hands up and keep moving forward.